Oh, hey, Malcolm, what you looking up? Malcolm, what happened to you?
Oh, I was just doing research on today's movie. It's The Princess Bride, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I remember growing up with that flick. It's a classic.
Yeah, me too. That's why I was looking it up. Did you know that film is 37 years old?
Really? I didn't know that.
What are you guys talking about?
Princess Bride.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Did you know it's 37 years old?
Really? No, I wasn't aware of that.
So crazy to think.
What's crazy to think?
That Princess Bride is 37 years old.
No kidding. How time flies.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Totally crazy.
Just nuts.
Life's not fair.
It sure isn't.
You can say that again.
I'm dead.
Crazy to think we're close to 4 decades since the release of the fairy tale comedy, The Princess Bride. While the Rob Reiner film wasn't a big hit at the box office, it found a very profitable life on home video, and soon every kid in the 80s was hooked. Based on the book by William Goldman and launching the careers of actors like Cary Elwes and Robin Wright, the film had a low-budget charm, surprisingly sophisticated comedy, and a legitimately romantic story, even winning over kids who hate all that kissy stuff. Where a lot of children's entertainment tries desperately to either sell you something or pander to whatever your kids find popular, this film played by its own rules and eventually won audiences over just by doing its own thing. It's still delightful all these years later, and we're gonna take a look at why. Even if it feels a little weird all these years later.
Hey, you guys! Did you know Karate Kid is 40 years old?
This is Princess Bride. The film opens with a sick little boy, played by Fred Savage, who hates he's missing such a beautiful curtain outside, but his grandfather, played by Peter Falk, tries to read him a story to cheer him up.
I'll try and stay awake.
I'll try to keep this white hairspray off my head.
Is this a kissing book?
Wait, just wait.
Falk's charm as the narrator is so likable, I keep thinking he's gonna Columbo him and lure him into revealing something. You killed that Girl Scout down the street. Then you sold the cookies and pocketed the profits. Okay, I buried her under the doghouse. That's why Milo's so sick. Oh, I was just reading the first chapter. But that's good to know. We're transported to the world of the story where we see a farm boy named Wesley, played by Cary Elwes, and a farm girl named Buttercup, played by Robin Wright.
Buttercup was raised on a small farm. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
You really put the ass in passive aggressive.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle.
As you wish.
And then later you can polish me.
She was amazed to discover that when he was saying as you wish, what he meant was,
I'm gonna wear you down till I'm out of the friend zone. Eventually they confess their love for each other, but because he has no money, he journeys across the sea to seek his fortune.
What if something happens to you?
I will always come for you.
I started taking pills. His ship was attacked by pirates though, and he's presumed dead. Maybe I'll marry that prince who out of nowhere proposed to me.
Our country will have its 500th anniversary.
I believe it'll be our most horrible yet. That is Jack Skellington, Chris Sarandon as Prince Humperdinck, who has chosen to marry a commoner.
Would you like to meet her? Yeah! Buttercup!
Well, that was anticlimactic. Perhaps you could hooray or something. How about some name combos for the tabloids? Butterdink is testing well? Perhaps Humpercup. Buttercup doesn't love Humperdinck, but that's hardly an issue when she's abducted by 3 thieves. Inigo, played by Mandy Patinkin, Fezzik, played by Andre the Giant, and Vizzini, played by Wallace Shawn.
Fabric will make the prince suspect the Guildarians have abducted his love.
While all these actors are perfectly chosen, I will admit I was a little curious how one of their other choices, Danny DeVito, would have been in the Vizzini role. Shawn is great, don't get me wrong, but man, I love to see DeVito say something like,
You will be caught.
I'll give you the same advice I give my mom when she cries. Shut up. Whoa, whoops, I dropped my monster condom that I use for my Magnum Dong.
With that said, Shawn does add a unique over-the-top take that is clearly his own. And let's be honest, he does help create the most quotable line.
Inconceivable. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable!
Inconceivable!
True, there's also this line.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
But that's 20 syllables and this one's only 5. It's a bit easier to say.
You never say anything about killing anyone.
I've always been a big Andre the Giant fan too, so it's great to see him in one of his few film roles. It's another one of those where it's hard to say it's entirely convincing, but like many charming actors, you sense a joy of performance from him. And in a film where the realism is not a #1 priority, that joy also spreads to the audience.
No more rhymes now, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut?
You have a great gift for rhyme.
Thank you. We'll never use it again. They move quickly across the sea, though not that quickly, where Buttercup tries to escape but is hunted by the shrieking eels.
She doesn't get eaten by the eels at this time.
What?
The eel doesn't get her.
No, we heard you. We were just wondering what's up with that weird Shyamalan writing. Most of the dialogue is stellar in this, but that was a weird moment. Is the idea that she'll be eaten by the eels later in the story? Maybe in the version with Deadpool. She makes her way back to the ship, but they notice they're being followed.
Hurry up! Move the thing! And that other thing!
And stop washing the flag with too much starch!
He's climbing the rope.
The masked person following them is the Dread Pirate Roberts, who's gaining on their tail.
Faster!
I thought I was going faster.
I do not accept excuses. I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant.
Wait until I write my next play on this. My climb with Andre. They try cutting the rope. But he still holds on as Inigo is left behind to kill him off. But he's too impatient, so he offers him a rope to speed things up.
Well, to give you my word as a Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
That's alright, I'm not a Spaniard anyway.
I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, you will reach the top alive.
Like I said, I've known too many Spaniards.
Well, wait until you're ready.
He makes it to the top and allows him to rest before they fight. Inigo shares that a six-fingered man killed his father and he searches to get revenge, which in any other movie would feel like an exposition dump, but like I said, the acting and writing is really solid.
I love my father. So naturally, I challenged his murderer to a duel. But he gave me this.
No, it needs to flow more natural, like...
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
That didn't do well at the box office either. These two are practically the same. They begin their sword fight on the carpeted sand. If you're really impressed by this duel, you should be. These two actors began practicing at the beginning of production to the very end of production, every single day while the other actors went home or out for drinks. They shot this fight last because they wanted to be as good as possible. They were sore beyond belief, but they learned how to fence both left and right-handed beautifully. There was just one problem. When they did the demonstration of the fight on set the day they were gonna shoot, Rob Reiner shrugged and said, "That's it?" While the fencing was perfect, it was barely over a minute long. So on the spot, they had to find other ways to drag out the fight, with jumps, flips, some bouncy rocks.
Who are you?
Get used to disappointment.
Okay.
Everyone is so politely harsh in this. He defeats Inigo and makes his way to Fezzik.
We face each other as God intended. No tricks, no weapons, skill against skill alone.
Giving me literally a gigantic advantage.
Haven't fought just one person for so long.
What was that line he had earlier?
People in masks cannot be trusted.
Then what am I supposed to make of this? Actually, Andre was in back pain so much he couldn't perform sometimes. So they had a stuntman in a mask take over. I can't imagine how much fun it was to find a stunt double for him. In fact, Andre was often in so much pain he would literally drink bars out of their entire supply of alcohol. One night I always went drinking with him in the hotel bar and he passed out in the hotel lobby. And nobody was able to move him. They literally just put velvet ropes around him and everyone thought he was some sort of abstract art exhibit. Saying, "Wow, that looks so realistic." In the morning he got up and walked away like nothing happened. After that, a cop was assigned to him whenever he went drinking to make sure he didn't pass out. Andre was so nice, he always bought the cop a drink. Sorry, like I said, big Andre fan. Anyway, Roberts knocks him out by slowly strangling him.
Rest well and dream of large women.
With more consistently funny writing. He makes his way to Vizzini, who says the only way to win over Buttercup is to beat him in a duel of wits to the death.
Inhale this. I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called iocane powder.
It is a poison that kills you simply through smell. I win.
Where is the poison?
All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who...
Boy, this must have been the easiest shooting day for Wright. You can practically hear her snoring in between takes.
Now, a clever man would put the poison into his own goblet. No, but only a great fool would reach for what...
You're just stalling now.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
He puts the poison in one of the cups and lets Vizzini choose who should drink which. That's not so hard to survive. At C2E2, I made it out okay.
What in the world can that be?
What?
Vizzini switches them though, thinking he outsmarted him.
You guessed wrong.
You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia.
The second is don't buy a Star Wars IP and expect fans to like it. It looks like he put the poison in both cups, though.
I spent the last few years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Cool. Doesn't explain how Prince Humperdinck can tell what it is.
Iocane.
How does he know? It's odorless. Humperdinck is hot on their trail as Buttercup can't figure out who the mysterious pirate is.
Whatever you ask for ransom, you'll get it. I promise you.
What a story, Mark. Gotta love a hero who has to stop himself from smacking his love.
I have loved more deeply than a killer like yourself could ever dream.
That was a warning, Highness.
It's cool. I got an apology video all set to go. Always actually broke his foot riding one of the ATVs on set, so in several scenes where you see him leaning, sitting, or laying back, he was actually trying to take pressure off it. As you can tell by this kinda awkward way he sits down here. Funny enough, it makes him look more cocky and confident, as he throws cruel lines to Buttercup, bitter she rushed into marriage after his death.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something.
Happy reminder, this scene is available in toy form. Life is painless. He of course reveals himself as he's pushed down a hill, and Buttercup literally throws herself at him with joy.
Why didn't you wait for me?
You were dead.
Death cannot stop true love.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
The grandson hates hearing parts about kissing, though.
Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Let's see, she took the cucumber out of her. Here we go, the fire swamp.
It's not that bad.
Sorry, the mustache gives me confidence. Really though, it's not that bad. There's Artex drowning, Yoda training Luke, Jennifer Connelly hanging on by a thread. Yeah, 80s had a thing for swamps, didn't they?
I am not the Dread Pirate Roberts, he said. I inherited the ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts.
He tells of how the Dread Pirate Roberts has been passing on his legacy for years, and though he was taken prisoner, he eventually decided to hand over the title to Wesley.
He said, all right, Wesley, I'll most likely kill you in the morning. 3 years, he said that. Good night, Wesley. Good work. Sleep well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning.
And then one morning he did kill me. What? Yes, figure that one out.
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
But rats of unusual size battle against the rat tail of unusual size, and Buttercup is continuing to be useless. Yeah, I guess the author asked his daughters what he should write about. One said a princess, the other said a bride, so he wrote The Princess Bride. The irony is, despite being played well, she is the most uninteresting character in the film, doing very little throughout it. And for a title he named for his daughters, the Princess Bride never becomes royalty or gets married in this.
Did you say I do?
Oh, no.
Then you're not married.
So even that she couldn't do right! They make it out of the swamp but are caught by Humperdinck. Buttercup says she'll marry him though if he lets Wesley go. He's handed over to Count Rugen, played by Christopher Guest.
You have 6 fingers on your right hand.
I'm very sensitive about that. My parents were siblings! Yeah, it's fitting he's knocked out because this is kind of where I check out a bit too. Oh, not that it's bad. I mean, I know a film with this dedicated a fan base would do terrible things to me if I even hinted at that. But there is a... Okay, so like I said, the film doesn't get bad, but the momentum does go down a great deal after this point. We're on an adventure, colorful characters, deadly threats, new locations, there's always something new on the horizon. Then we're taken back to where we started, with people mostly just standing around talking. The writing's still good, and it does introduce new characters as well, but that excitement of where we're gonna end up next is gone. With that said, the comedy's still decent, with Mel Smith playing the caretaker of the Pit of Despair.
You survived the fire swamp. You must be very brave. But nobody withstands the machine.
Remember that device in Burn After Reading? It's like a cousin of that. The king apparently dies, and Humperdinck and Buttercup are declared king and queen.
Hold it, hold it. If she didn't marry him, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written?
Can that be a motivational poster for some younger people? But not everybody in the crowd is thrilled either.
Boo! Boo!
That's Marjorie Mason as, no joke, the ancient booer. And I wanted to name her because she's been in a ton of stuff, but nobody ever recognizes her except for this scene. I don't think I'm giving anything away when I say this is a nightmare Buttercup is having, and her performance, while wonderfully silly and over the top, is quite nightmarish.
Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck! Boo!
Everyone's quiet and happy to see you except for one miserable goblin who will try as loudly as possible to make you suffer.
True love saved her in the fire swamp and she treated it like garbage.
It's my favorite scene in the movie just for how hilariously unpleasant it is. And most of that comes down to her performance.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
Like I said, it is a dream, as the grandson brags and the grandfather quotes whatever YouTuber says when a comment points out a flaw in a video.
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up.
But Buttercup grows more and more anxious as the wedding nears.
If Wesley wants you, bless you both. If not, please consider me as an alternative to suicide.
The pickup line Russell Brand usually uses on women. You might think I've been leaning too hard on some of the sex jokes earlier, but look at this scene and tell me somebody else isn't leaning hard right now.
I'm sure you've discovered my deep and abiding interest in pain.
As subtle as putting together is Joel Schumacher gay? He uses the machine to slowly torture him, but when Humperdinck realizes he can never fully win over Buttercup, a strange thing to get upset about, he's just gonna kill her to start a war anyway. Though it does lead to this wonderfully awkward delivery.
I would not say such things if I were you!
It is I, Humpernickel! He speeds up the process, killing him.
Shut up, Wesley.
Fezzik reunites with Inigo and says teaming up with the man who bested them might give them purpose again. Too bad he too got bested. Well, clearly teaming up with the man who bested us makes sense. Or he killed your father. No, the science just adds up. We have to join him. They take Wesley to Miracle Max, played by Billy Crystal, and his wife Valerie, played by Carol Kane. And this is where the energy really comes back again. The same way they breathe life back into Wesley, the same way they breathe life back into the movie.
Ever since Prince Humperdinck fired him.
Humperdinck! Stiegen!
Humperdinck,
I'm not listening!
I like to think if Taxi kept going, this is how Locke and Simcoe would turn out. They give him a magic pill that'll slowly but surely bring him back to life as they haul him to Humperdinck.
Bye-bye, boys!
Have fun storming the castle!
Meet me real soon! The adventure is also back. We have some sword fights, people set ablaze, confrontations. Like I said, the movie really gets back on track with some of its momentum here. It also does it on its own terms, though, with the main hero barely able to move.
Inigo. What? Hope we win.
If not, it'd be a sin. No, really, why did we have me rhyme if we were just gonna drop it? And then, of course, Peter Cook, looking so dignified with grand organ music and the camera slowly tracking in, just to have one single word bring down the house.
Marriage.
This line and this speech is so famous, I can't even count how many times I've seen actual weddings use it.
Marriage is what Marriage.
Marriage!
Marriage.
Marriage!
Marriage!
Proof that even with classic comedy writing, sometimes just a funny voice is enough.
There will be no survivor!
Inigo sends Physics mannequin double to scare everybody away, and they break their way in. This leads to a confrontation between Inigo and Rugen, again resulting in a completely unexpected reaction.
Prepare to die.
And Buttercup decides she can't live in a world without Wesley.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. Twould be a pity to damage yours.
I don't know, they're attached to a character that literally does nothing but be depressed throughout the entire movie. Is it worth it?
Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Get used to disappointment. Inigo chases Ruben, but is stabbed not once, not twice, but 3 times and still manages to get his revenge.
Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya! You killed my father! Prepare to die!
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm totally down for fighting through the pain to get his revenge, resulting in one of the best vengeful lines ever.
Anything you want. I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
But then, like, somebody should rush in and nurse him back to health. Maybe another pill that Miracle Max gave or something, I don't know, but he walks around like he's just fine. He holds his stomach like he has a tummy ache, but he's literally dripping blood all over the place. Wesley's even like, hey, you fountain of red paint, you want to take over being Roberts for me? Get him to a hospital!
But first things first, to the death.
Humperdinck thinks Wesley can't fight back, and because of that incredibly demanding sword fight and the fact they hurt his foot, he's right. So words are a good budget-saving way to win this fight. He tells him how he's gonna chop off every part of his body except his ears.
Every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears.
I love how a screenplay with such elegant dialogue can suddenly dumb itself down at the best moments. Just having that line, "What is that thing?" is so simple yet so direct. Like there's no other word anyone can come up with to describe him, he'll be that grotesque. Humperdinck thinks he's bluffing, but Wesley's got a golden ticket and stands. He surrenders only to discover he was faking all along.
I knew you were bluffing. I knew he was bluffing.
To think I'm wearing half of Buttercup's wardrobe for nothing. Fezzik finds some horses and they ride off into the moonset. And it is at this time that the eels finally ate us.
Jesus, Grandpa, what did you read me this thing for?
No, they ride back home and the grandson is so invested he's more than happy to even listen to the parts about kissing.
Now I think you ought to go to sleep.
You have a lot of resting to do before you spend your lifetime watching the Bears lose.
Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.
It was at that moment that I realized this wasn't even my grandfather. And that was The Princess Bride. Still pretty great. Okay, not everything spectacular. There's a few pacing issues here and there, and sometimes the budget cost can be a little distracting. But half the time, that's also what's so likable about it. It feels like a movie that major studios didn't have a ton of faith in, so it had to fight harder and smarter to be recognized. And when it does work, which is easily the majority of the time, it leaves us with characters, performances, dialogue, and a romantic adventure that can never be forgotten. It's smart enough to speak to adults, simple enough to speak to children, and charming enough to speak to every child's inner grown-up and every grown-up's inner child.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
What's wrong?
Our edition was pointless!
It was more about how old you feel rather than the impact the movie had on you.
And now Jim is dead!
That's true, still dead.
Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck! Boo! Boo! Boo!
Huh?
Anybody want a peanut?